Clarissa here. We are back in the limelight yet again, one more time today, and I am going to introduce you to another really extraordinary entrepreneur. But before I do that, I do want to remind you that you can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spotify, Pandora, and Podbean. And if you're going to be watching us on video, you're going to go do that on Binge Networks, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire. You can also go over to Google Play, Dailymotion, and another 100 smart TV apps. Whew, that's a lot to say. And don't forget about the In the Limelight with Clarissa Intelligent Media for the Savvy Entrepreneur Digital Magazine. We do have Lady Carnarvon on our cover this quarter. She is the owner, along with her husband, of Highclere Castle, otherwise known as Downton Abbey. I want to thank our good friends also over at my news desk. I am putting out news releases and press releases on the daily. And I have to tell you that being able to be in contact with journalists all over the world is a very exciting thing, and it will change the trajectory of your business. Forgot to tell you too to go check out the magazine on pressreader.com. All right, we've got the show all set up. Very exciting stuff coming our way. You know, we love to talk to entrepreneurs, and we also know that entrepreneurs and solopreneurs in this last year, especially during COVID, have been going through it, right? We know that they've been really having some struggles, some difficulties, and taking a lot of risk. And for that, we need a lot of courage. And I thought that our next guest might be just the person that we need to bring us some really, really good, strong messaging and messages around courage. Ken Foster, so good to have you on the show. You are a keynote speaker and a business strategist. You also have your own daily syndicated radio show called Voices of Courage in more than 162 countries all over the world. You're the best-selling author of 7 books. We're going to be talking about your last book called The Courage to Change Everything, Daily Strategies and Essential Wisdom to Wake Your Inner Genius. You, sir, are really quite accomplished. And so I thought that it might be really great to have a chat with you so that we could talk about how we might be able to be affronting things, our life, our businesses, our families, our relationships with more courage. What say you?
I'm so glad to be here, Clarissa. And I love your energy, love your show, love how you've syndicated all over the place, just like I have with Voices of Courage show. So you're out there doing your thing, putting your message out there and being the best version of yourself that you can. So I'm excited to be with you here today. That's awesome.
Thanks, Ken. We need to be a little more courageous, I think. I wanted to know, first of all, how did you get into the transformational business?
Well, let me tell you this. Yeah, you are right. We do need more courage in this world. You know, I always say, we don't need more information, right? We just Google it. But we do need more courage, wisdom, and truth. And I hope that will help you as an entrepreneur really take your business to a completely new level by the time you listen to this podcast today. I got into this business as I woke up one day when I was going to college, and I thought, I don't want to do college anymore. I want to go into business. And the first thing I did was went out and I borrowed $10,000 from my father, opened up a waterbed store. We grew it to 5 stores. And then I learned what I didn't know about business real quick. I learned that I didn't know the accounting side of business. I learned that I didn't know how to manage people properly. And I know that, and I had some failures along the way with that, right? So my next strategy was a manufacturing company, which I did, and I sold that to my brother, and then he ran it for about 12 years. Then I decided that, life is short. I want to learn all about finances. I want to learn how money works. So how do I do that? Oh, I know. I'll become a stockbroker. I'll become a security principal. I'll become an arbitrator for an NASD. I'll learn about money. Well, I did, and I also learned that there was a lot of things I didn't know about myself, about human nature. I was in therapy and I was going to this doctor, and this doctor I was in therapy for a year with him. And I kept hearing this little voice. I went into his office one day and I said, Doc, I'm hearing this voice. The voice says, you've got to feel the pain to make the change. I said, what do I do, Doc? He says, Ken, I can't help you anymore.
Go listen to the voice.
Follow that voice. After 1 year of therapy, you have to follow that voice. Right. That was the voice of truth, of courage, of wisdom. And I walked out of his office The next day I walked into a recovery center because I know I needed to get myself clean. I needed to get myself clear. I needed to do what I needed to do to take my life to the next level. I estranged from a lot of people. I needed to get there. I did. And that was 29 years ago. And as a result of that, everything changed. My whole life changed. And as a result of that, I've written 7 books. I've started multiple businesses, successful businesses. I've also created multiple businesses that didn't succeed, which are just as important as the ones that did succeed.
Sure. Absolutely.
I had to fail forward. And I think we need to do that. We have to feel the pain to make the change. Because here's what I know, Clarissa. If there is something right now in your life, you're an entrepreneur, there's something in your life that you want and it's not happening for you. If you don't have a block, if you didn't have a block, you would have it. If you didn't have a block, you would have it. Okay, just think about that. There's something inside of you you need to release, develop, grow, evolve, change. There's something there, right?
There's a block. Yep.
That's who I am. So that's what I do with entrepreneurs. I help them to really see the unseeable, know the unknowable, and do the impossible. How do we see the unseeable? Well, we have to look within ourselves, right?
Right. Have you ever had any mentors, though? Has anybody ever helped you along the way?
Oh, yeah. I had a lot of mentors along the way. My first mentor, I think, that really changed my life was Tony Robbins. And I was coaching for about a year, life coaching. I'd found a mentor by the name of Thomas Leonard on the internet, and he was teaching me how to be a life coach. I thought it was cool. Well, at the end of the year, I was dead broke. And I was sitting meditating one day, and a friend of mine, Eric Lothholm, who's a well-known sales trainer, called me and said, Ken, Tony Robbins has got a position. I said, why would he want a coach that's out of business, that is broke,
out of money,
meditating in his bed in a one-bedroom apartment here? Why would he want that? And Eric said, listen, it's not about what he wants. It's about what you want. And it's about you stepping into your power. And I said, okay, you challenge me. I will. I applied. You know how that happens with entrepreneurs. When we have the courage to step into the unknown, we get this power, this force, this energy that comes through us. We start to be able to do things we've never been able to do before. I did that. I wrote this incredible letter to HR. And ended up going through the interviews and beat out 500 people, they told me, to get the job. I got the job, right?
Wow.
So Tony was a mentor for me. And let me tell you what happened at Tony's. Can I tell this story?
Yeah, I'd love it.
So I'm working with Tony for, I don't know, maybe a year. And he calls me up to his office, and he's late. So I thought to myself, what does Tony have in his office here? You know, what books does this guy read? This guy is really wise. He's helping lots of people. Who's his mentor?
Right.
I looked at his bookshelf, and there's about 20 books from an author by the name of Paramahansa Yogananda.
I knew it. I can't wait to hear this story. You know how long I've had that book and I haven't read it yet?
I love it. So listen, I
have that book, and I just haven't read it yet.
The book is Autobiography of Yogi. Autobiography of Yogi, right?
Right.
So listen, the next week I'm at a garage sale, and somebody's departing with everything that Yogananda's ever written, right, for $25. So I go, all right, I'm doing it. I'm taking it. So I immersed my mind in these teachings. I learned. I was a meditator at the time. I could meditate at least 10 to 15 minutes, you know. I got these teachings, and within 3 months, I could meditate up to 8 hours. Just like that.
Gosh.
Just like that. I was like, what the heck? But, you and I don't know, with entrepreneurship, it's about strategy, right?
Right.
Yogananda has the scientific techniques to deepen your meditation. That's what I learned. So I learned those techniques. Another thought, just if, we're talking the subject of entrepreneurship in Yogananda, when Stephen Jobs died, before he passed, he's a guy who liked to control everything, right? So he planned out his whole memorial service, right?
Yep.
And have you heard this story?
Yeah, no, but I knew he did that.
He planned out his whole memorial service, and everybody that came got this little brown box, right? And inside the box was the one book that he had on his iPhone And it's the only one that he ever had on his iPhone. And the book was Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda.
No.
And his message to the world was self-realize, right? So anyway, now you know the secret behind the secret, right?
The secret behind the secret. Absolutely. All right. You've convinced me. I'm pulling the book off the shelf and I'm going to start reading it. That's really 8 hours, man. I don't even know if I breathe for 8 hours. That just seems like an eternity to me. But I know that when you're meditating, it goes by in a flash. Because there's no conception.
Because we get out of body consciousness and we go into the superconscious mind where there is no time, there is no space, there is bliss, there is joy, there is love, there is happiness. We raise our consciousness out of the 3D dimensional world that we live in, and we raise up. For entrepreneurs, I have to tell you, I look at the world, Clarissa, and I think, why is common sense so uncommon? Anybody ever ask that? Like the politicians, maybe the judges sometimes making, or even just your family members. You're like, well, that's because common sense is another word for intuition, right? Intuition is developed, and this is the key for entrepreneurship. Intuition is the connection with the soul for us. It's 100% accurate. It's 100%. Imagine picking stocks with 100% accuracy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Imagine making the right relationship choices with 100% accuracy.
Right.
Absolutely. It just makes sense, which is why I chose that path of meditation with business. And got lots of stories about business owners I've come across that one of them was the ambassador to Sri Lanka, who came up to me. We talked from the United States, the ambassador of the U.S. to Sri Lanka, and we got on the subject of meditation. He says, I meditate 2 hours a day, every day. This guy's he's an ambassador. He's running all these businesses. I thought, this is way back when. I thought, that's interesting. He says, let me introduce you to my friend. His friend was running most of the banks and hotels in southern India. He said, I meditate 3 hours every day, Ken. Every day I meditate the 3 hours. I'm like, who are these people? How come I didn't know about these secrets?
Right.
Yeah. Anyway.
Would you say that do you think that in business and in life, this is the experience that has changed you the most, is being able to meditate for, a long period of time? Do you think, it has to be life-changing?
It's life-changing, and of course, it doesn't happen without courage. First of all, the courage to even explore. I was raised Catholic, so for me to go out and learn Indian ways of meditation, that was like, oh, are you gonna do that? But I've been a seeker of truth, so I look for the truth, and I look, wherever that leads me is where I go, and that happened to lead me to this path.
Absolutely.
And, so I think that was the most important piece that worked for me in creating wealth in businesses. Wealth isn't just about money. I make a lot of money, but it's also about joyful relationships. It's about great business partners. It's about really good decisions. It's about being able to. I'm working on a TV show right now, right? It's all intuitive, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So you get it.
All right, so let's talk about the book a second. It's called The Courage to Change Everything, Daily Strategy and Essential Wisdom to Awaken Your Inner Genius. I'm going to put the ticker across now, Ken. This is couragetochange.us. That's where you can find the book. But tell us a little bit more about the book and why you wrote it.
Well, here's why I wrote it. I've been a business strategist for 20 plus years, and also life coach combined. And I've realized in my own life, in the lives of my clients, that we do not need inspiration or wisdom here and there. We need it consistently every single day. The world is filled with a lot of illusions and delusion, and it's easy to get sidetracked. It's easy to get off point, especially in business, especially if you're playing on the creative field. So I thought we need a book that every day we can immerse our minds in astute wisdom from the East and success principles from the West, with specific questions that will tie into our subconscious and superconscious mind, so that we can either release what we don't need or focus on what we need to go every single day. That's why I wrote the book.
Absolutely.
And that's why the book is having so much success with so many people.
I'm gonna bring it up. I think didn't we? I think I uploaded it because I want everybody to see it. Boom, there it is. Overlay, The Courage to Change Everything. Beautiful cover, by the way. How beautiful is that? Yep.
Thank you. You know, the cover, the forward to the book was written by Stephen M.R. Covey. And you know, if you're going to write a book on courage, you're probably going to expect some really weird stuff to show up, right?
Yeah.
Can I tell you that quick story real quick? Do I have a time?
You've got to. Okay,
man, listen. I'm up in Utah, and I'm with a client. We're hiking up mountains above Provo, and it's a day hike. It's not a big deal. And I'm telling him about my new book, The Courage to Change Everything. And he says, do you have somebody to write the foreword? I said, no, I don't have anybody to write the foreword. He goes, well, what about Stephen Covey? I said, well, yeah, Stephen's done some stuff with me in the past. That might work. He says, well, I'm a friend of his. He lives right down the street. Let's go knock on his door and see if he'll write the foreword to your book. So I go, okay. We go knock on the door. His wife answers, says, I'm so sorry. Stephen's in the shower. He can't come out right now. And then, but we hear Stephen. He says, no, tell him to come back in 20 minutes, right? So I come back in 20 minutes and I get Stephen Covey to write the foreword of my book. Right? Is that cool?
Only you,
courage, baby. That's courage.
Only you can. Let me. What would you say in all of this? Again, that people can learn from you, and what would your message be to the world?
Well, listen. The message to the world is this: is that we all have courage. It's inside of us. It's not about jumping off bungee jumping or running into burning buildings.
Right.
It's the courage that we have within us. That is really the bridge from failure to success. It's the bridge from disempowering relationships to powerful relationships. Mm-hmm. It's the bridge from not knowing who you are to knowing who you are. It's the bridge from, like I said, meditating for 10 minutes or meditating for 3 hours when you learn the techniques. So courage is the key that we just take it for granted, but we have to develop it. How do we develop courage? Here's what I want to leave everybody with. Of course, you pick up my book, The Courage to Change Everything, at couragetochange.us.
Right.
When you get that book, you also get 2 sessions with me. I'm overgiving, that's what I do. That's another principle. So you get 2 sessions of the limitless experience with me, 1.5 sessions, group sessions with me, so I can quick start you and jumpstart you with the book. I also give you my release process that has been developed over 20 years so that you can now go into the subconscious mind, acknowledge what's on there, and make some changes. It's like people tell me it's like taking a dark pair of sunglasses off they never knew they had on.
Right.
But courage is the key. Courage is the key. Every day, how do we develop courage? We do one thing that you've never done before every day. Do something, go into the unknown. Well, and you look for things you've never done every day. For things you've never seen before. So maybe you go out for a walk and you set your intention to see things you've never seen before, and to look at them and to go into that. And then maybe you ask yourself, how can I improve upon what's out there? You walk into the unknown. That's where courage steps in. Courage is a power. It's a force. It's an energy within us. When we develop it, we become unstoppable.
Yeah. And fear never got us anywhere.
Well, fear, you can use fear. If for me, I had Tom Hanks's stuntman, his stunt double, right? His name was Alan Robinson. Alan Robinson came work with me for a while. I coached with him. And Alan said, hey, I said, what happens? How do you use fear? This guy is a stuntman doing these major Hollywood stunts. He says, here's what I do. You think about it, I go up in a hot air balloon 3,000 feet in the air. And the script says that I need to jump out of a hot air balloon on a bungee cord. So I jump out, and he's visualizing. He jumps out of bungee cord, shoots him in the air. He has to cut the bungee cord. Now he's free falling to the earth. At the last minute, he pulls the chute and he lands. He said at every step of the way, there's fear. He says, what I do is I mitigate fear in my mind every step of the way. That's how I use fear before I perform the stunt. That's how we can use fear too.
Absolutely. Here's a question that I love. First of all, I want to let everybody know where they can find you on social. Again, the ticker, everybody, couragetochange.us is going across the screen. You're going to be able to find Ken on Facebook at Ken D. Foster 1. Twitter is Kenneth Foster. LinkedIn is Ken D. Foster. And Instagram, you can find him over there also at Voices of Courage Show. And you can find him on YouTube. There you go. Find you anywhere. Ken, you're just everywhere, aren't you?
Yeah, just Google Ken D. Foster or Google, or you can tell Alexa, Cortana, or Siri, hey, play Voices of Courage podcast. I'll come right up for you in your car, you're on your skateboard, wherever you are.
Absolutely. Here's the question that I ask everyone at the end of the show. And you cannot say my marriage or my children. Up to now, what would you say has been your crowning moment?
2017, when I was at Penticton, British Columbia, and I was participating in the World Triathlon event, and I was representing Team USA in my age group. And I got top 10 out of 3,500 athletes in the world in my group. And I did it when I had been sick for 3 days prior to doing it, but I was so well trained that I accomplished it. So that felt amazing to me. And then I came home. I come home 2 weeks, 3 weeks later. My wife says, "Hey, have you seen the magazine over there on your desk?" And I said, "No." She said, "You're on the cover." I said, "I'm on the cover. What magazine is that?" "It's Triathlon Magazine, USA Triathlon Magazine." I'm like,
wow,
baby,
that's extraordinary.
That's cool. But I have to tell you why I got on that magazine cover. I believe when I went by the cameras, I felt joy in my heart. I felt gratitude in my heart. I felt I'm so blessed to be here. Thank you, God. Thank you. I give all the glory to God. Thank you for letting me be here. And that was it.
Well, we thank you for being here with us, Ken Foster. I'm so thrilled that you were here with us in the Limelight today. And I'm going to end the show right there by giving everybody an appointment for the next show here in the Limelight. Ken, I'm going to ask you to stay right there while I say goodbye to everyone else. Bye-bye for now, all. Thanks for listening to this episode of the In the Limelight podcast, intelligent media for the savvy entrepreneur. You can listen to this and all of my podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Pandora, and Inspired News Radio. You'll find all of my videos and the In the Limelight digital magazine on clarissaburt.com. And don't forget to connect with me on social pretty much anywhere. Stay well until we meet again in the Limelight.